Just 1 second, I'll give the link for the. Close the door and check, friends.
No sound. The technology cooperated.
Maybe Teams link you can get because this is, we can do this later. I can't find the YouTube link. Okay. Shri Gargavamsa Kalacharnava Purnachandram Shri Venkatarya Guruvarya Danuja Ratnam Tasmad Avapta Nigamanta Rahasya Jalam Srimad Stalesaya Gurum Sattam Bhajami அஞ்சு குடிக்கொரு சந்ததியாய் ஆழ்வார்கள் தஞ்சையலை விஞ்சி நிற்கும் தன்மையளாய் பிஞ்சாய் பழுத்தாளை ஆண்டாளை பத்தியுடன் நாளும் வழுத்தாய் மனமே மகிழ்ந்து. Sriman Narayana, out of his compassion, has given us a lot of Upadesams. So of that, the one thing that he says is, Masanam aham marhasi shoham. So marhasi shoham is the month of Margari. In Tamil, we call that month as Margari. And he says that he is, if you were to represent him in months, then he will be the month of Margari. So that month of Margari is very, very appropriate and apt for us to do Bhagavad Guna Anusandhanam. Now, in this month, Andal chooses to give us Thiruppaavai. Now, we will talk a little bit about the context, about the background, why we do all of this. I mean, you're all very blessed, including Adiyan. Adiyan is very blessed to be in this Bhagavata Goshti. But we are all blessed because we are in a place where we are able to congregate. We are able to be with other devotees. And we are able to enjoy Krishna's anubhavams. Why is that important? Why are we doing all of this? Because if there is no Bhagavata Goshti, then each one is left to do whatever their mind chooses to do. Right? We just follow the three gunas. The three gunas are Sattva Gunam, Rajogunam, and Tamogunam. Sattva Gunam is the mode of goodness. Rajogunam is the mode of passion, and Tamogunam is the mode of ignorance. So each person on a daily basis is subject to a mix of these three gunas. So that's why one day what happens, you feel like doing good. Even if somebody commits an offense or commits something that's not very pleasing to you, you are okay to let them go. You're okay. But on another day, even if that person has not done anything, if our mode of passion is so high, then we try to find fault with that person. So that's what happens, right? So we are constantly under the influence of these three gunas, Sattva Gunam, Rajogunam, and Tamogunam. Now, Masanam aham marhasi shoham is what he says. In Margari, the Sattva Gunam, the mode of goodness, that is very high. And when we are in this Bhagavata Goshti, each person may be under the influence of all of this, but if we stray somewhere aside, then the Bhagavatas will pull us back. They will constantly correct us. They will constantly correct us and keep us in the path of goodness and in the path where we can reach Krishna. So that is the point of being in a Bhagavata Goshti. Where do we learn all this? How do we know that we have to be in such a Bhagavata Goshti? Andal herself has showed us that. She has showed us that in Thiruppaavai. And she has shown that what is the Parama Prayojanam? That is, what is the ultimate goal? And what is the means to get to that goal? That is done in this work called Thiruppaavai, which is just 30 pasurams. Now, Perumal himself, Sriman Narayana, he has given a lot of shastrams. So he created this world. He created this world and he created a lot of shastrams for people to abide by. But then those shastrams are too hard. We say, oh, those are all for the people who can do all of that. Like we won't be jealous of the president of India or the president of America because we consider that to be beyond our reach. But then we may have jealousy or envy about the person who is just one level above us at work, or has a slightly larger house than us, or has a slightly better car than us. We will not be jealous of somebody who is at an unachievable state, right? So what happens is when we have in this Bhagavata Goshti, so Andal shows us, so Perumal has given us these Shastras, so we kind of tend to not follow those Shastras. But then he is so compassionate because we are all his children. He wants us to come to him. So he came himself. He took incarnations. He took incarnations. He came as Varaha, Rama, and Krishna are Purna avatarams. He came, he showed us how to live. He gave us upadesams and all that. But then we think, oh, that's a different, he's in a different league. So it's called Sajatiya versus Vijatiya. Sajatiya means the same clan. We tend to identify with somebody who's in the same clan. But if it's Vijatiya, it means a different clan. We are like, I don't. So we did not. So then Narayana decided, okay, now let me hand pick people from these same people. So if I come, then people are not willing to listen to me. So why don't I just pick people from this earth and give them paripurna jnanam? That's what he said. So who did he decide to pick? He picked who we call as Arvars. Arvars means people that are Arnd in Tamil means to be immersed. So these are called Arvars. These elevated souls are called Arvars because they are immersed in Bhagavad Anubhava. Now, if you consider a normal person who cannot differentiate between who is after wealth, who cannot differentiate between the soul and the body, they are called as Deha Atma Abhimanis. That is, they cannot differentiate between the Deham and the Atma. If you have 1,000 such Dehatma Abhimanis, Krishna says that there is only one who will even indulge in the pursuit of the self. Who am I? What is my relationship to the Supreme? Who is the Supreme? And all of that. There is only one out of this, out of, let's say, 1,000 people. Now, the difference between a person who's called this as his Dehatma Abhimani, him and the person who wants to engage in the pursuit, right? The difference is like that of a mountain and a molehill. So that's how big the difference is. Now, if you consider, let's say there are 1,000 such Dehatma Abhimanis. Out of them, only some of them will, like I said, only 1 in 1,000 will engage in the pursuit. And those elevated souls, they are like there are these rishis and munis. So they try very hard. The rishis and the munis, they try very hard to go and understand the Parama Prayojanam. They try to understand the Supreme Personality, all of that. Whereas the Arvars, they were all in the cycle of births and deaths, just like how we all are. We are all in this unimaginable number of amount of cycles of birth and death that we are going through. So the Arvars were also in such a stage. And then Narayana, he handpicked these souls and he granted them blemishless knowledge. So the difference between Munis and these Arvars is considered to be such a difference, where if you put the Munis at the bottommost level, then the Arvars are at the highest elevated level. They are like a mountain. So there are 10 such Arvars. Commonly, people say 12 Arvars, including Andal and Madhurakavi Arvar, but then in general, it's 10 Arvars. Now, out of these 10 Arvars, there is one very, very special Arvar. He is called Periyarvar. He is called Vishnu Chitta. He is called Bhattar Biran. And this Arvar is the father of Anda, Goda Devi. The difference between all the other Arvars and Periyarvar is that if you place all the Arvars at the level of the molehill, Periyarvar would be at the level of the mountain. Why is that? It is only Narayana who picked all of these Arvars and gave them this knowledge, right? So then why would we put one Arvar over everybody else? It is because Periyarvar was the only one who did what is called Mangala Sasana. And the essence of today's Pasuram is also this Mangala Sasana. So, but before we go into that Mangala Sasana, what does that really mean? It means Mangalattai Asa Shittal. I'm going to be mixing Tamil a lot, although because Tamil is my mother tongue and I've learned all of this in Tamil. I'm going to try as much as possible to translate to English. Okay. Good. All right. So it's called, and but then Mangalate Asasittal is a mix of Sanskrit. So it means you are going to be bestowing Mangalams. So when all the other Arvas were they were craving for his grace and they wanted to reach him, Periyarvar took the position of Yashoda. So when he saw Krishna, right, when he was granted that knowledge, all he could think of was Krishna like that very young baby, and he was worried what was going to happen to that young baby. So all of the Krishna's pastimes, they ran over his head, just like that film that runs, right? Whenever we are thinking about something and we are saying something else, right, and we are doing something else, our mano va kayam, they are all not in sync. But for Periyarvar, everything was just immersed in Krishna, and he wanted to do this Mangalam. He wanted to praise. He wanted to bless Krishna. Now, I said bless. So, normally, who blesses who? Let's say if you have a birthday, who will you go and seek blessings from? Your, yeah, parents. Your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, your gurus, right? That's who you will go and take blessings from. Now, let's think of Periyarvar and Krishna. Who is the larger of the two? Who is more supreme of the two? So, who should be seeking blessing from who? You would think that Krishna is the one who Periyarvar would be seeking blessings from. But here the roles are reversed. Why is that? So then our acharyas have shown us the meaning for that also. So they have said when you are in the jnana dasha, that is when you are in the mode where you're just in the mode of acquiring knowledge. At that point, you will have rakshya rakshaka bhavam straightened. Rakshya rakshaka. So the one who is the protector and the one who is the protected. So there is what is called a sutram, where our acharyas have said ஞான தசையிலே ரக்ஷ்ய ரக்ஷக பாவம் தன் கப்பிலே கடக்கும், which means it will be straightened when you are when you're thinking about acquiring knowledge. But when that knowledge, what is the purpose of acquiring all of this knowledge? This knowledge has to mature into bhakti. So when that bhakti becomes a lot, so when jnana matures into bhakti, it becomes prema, and bhakti matures into prema. At that point, the roles will get reversed. ರಕ್ಷಕ ಜ್ಞಾನ ದಸೆಯಿಲೆ ರಕ್ಷ್ಯ ರಕ್ಷಕ ಭಾವಂ ತನ್ಕಪ್ಪಿಲೆ ಕಿಡக்கும் ಪ್ರೇಮ ದಸೆಯಿಲೆ ತಟ್ಟು ಮಾರಿ ಕಿಡக்கும், which means in the prema dasha it will be reversed. Does it ever happen? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Probably not, right? I mean, what if prema increases, suddenly will you assume somebody is, will the roles get reversed? Let's take a very very simple worldly example. Think of dogs. So if anybody who has two dogs, an older dog and a younger dog, will know this. Older dog or a larger dog and the younger dog, which one makes the most noise? The younger one, the smaller one, right? Because the younger one thinks that he is the one that's protecting. So similar, because of its love, right? That's what it is. So similarly, so for Periyarvar, what happens is his prema and his bhakti is so high that he assumes his role reversal. And it's not just Periyarvar. Periyarvar's daughter is Kode Andal, right? So we feed our children food. We give them education. We take them to all their classes. We buy them whatever they want and all that, right? That's what we feed them. But Periyarvar fed her stories of Krishna. He just fed her stories of Krishna, stories of Krishna. Krishna bhakti is what he fed her. So she grew in that. She grew in that bhakti and this Mangala Sasanam, which is the bestowing Mangalam to the Lord, that became a natural thing for her, for Goda. And she was always in this Krishna Anubhavam. She was this, imagine this little 5-year old. When we go to worship Goda Devi elsewhere, we probably think of her like as a 20 something young girl. No, she was just 5 years old when she composed Thiruppaavai. That's how young she was. And but then at that age of 5, at that very small age of 5, she was completely situated in Krishna consciousness. And she assumed that, and she mentioned that she will not get married to anybody else. Well, those days it was very common for girls to get married at that age. Even in Sri Ramayanam, there's a slokam where Sita says, "Pati samyoga sulabham vayo drishva me pita chintarnavagataha." That is, he was very concerned that when Sita was 6, he hadn't yet found a groom for her. Okay, that's how he was concerned. And where does Sita say this? Sita says this to Anusuya Devi. We all know Sri Ramayana, right? So she goes to the forest where she goes to Anusuya, Atri Maharishi's ashram. So where she recollects the story of her marriage. So she, at that time, says that my father was very worried that he hadn't found a suitable groom for me yet. Similarly, Andal, when she was just 5 years old, Periyalvar, her father, was worried as well. But she had a very, very strong stance. She says, Manidavar kendre pechupadil vadagillen. So, which means I am not going to get married. I cannot even live. I cannot even bear the thought of getting married to somebody else because I am for Krishna. He is my suitor. He's my groom. That's what she had said. So that's how she was. Now, what happens is because she has been fed all stories of Krishna, she's longing to go and meet Krishna. But where is she? She's somewhere down south. Somewhere down south in Srivilliputur. She is not very close in Vrindavan. So even now, if for somebody who's in Srivilliputur to go to Vrindavan, if they have to take a flight and all of that, they have to first go to Chennai or Madurai. From there, they have to take like multiple flights, land in Delhi, and then go to Mathura, Vrindavan, all that. It takes a few hours. In those days, it would have taken her, it's impossible. And then who is she? She's just a 5-year-old girl. And who is she the daughter of? She is the daughter of Periyalvar Vishnu Chitta, who's a poor Brahmana. It's not like they have all of their facilities and everything to go somewhere. So then she assumes, she goes into this mode where she just converts the place that she is in. Srivilliputur. When I say convert, not physically convert, but she's in that mode. She's in that mode where she thinks of the place where she is, Srivilliputur, and the presiding deity in Srivilliputur is Vadapatra Sai. Vadapatra Sai. So she assumes he is Krishna. Well, he is Krishna, of course. And the temple that Vattapatra Sai is in, that is the house of Nandagopa. She assumes that. And she assumes that all of her friends are the Gopas. And then now, okay, so this Margam, now let's connect back to what does all this have to do with the month of Margari, right? So the month of Margari is the one that is like the Brahma Muhurtam for Devas. Like our day is 24 hours long, right? Roughly 24 hours long. And the Brahma Muhurtam is the pre-dawn, it's before that. Now, but for Devas, this is not their day. For Devas, our entire year, that is one day for them. And in that one day, the month where their day breaks, that is the Taimasam, the next month. So this is the dawn for them. So this is the dawn. And then, so it is a very, very appropriate month for Krishna Anubhavam. So she chooses this month, and then you should never, just like how we just talked about, you can never be alone. A devotee can never grow in the path of Krishna consciousness if they are just by themselves. You have to be with devotees. So she wants to bring everybody together. She wants to bring everybody together because she does not want even one person to be missing their Krishna Anubhavam. So she brings all of her people together and she observes Krishna Anubhavam. But then why Thiruppaavai again? Why this? What does she do? So we frequently hear Margari, Nonbu, and all that, right? What is that? So now we'll go back to the Vattapatra Sai story. So she is somewhere here. So she hasn't yet. So she assumes, she goes into this sort of a trance where she assumes all of this, right? Now she thinks about, okay, so I am here in Srivilliputur. I'm not able to get Krishna Anubhavam yet. So I'm separated. I feel the pangs of separation. So has this ever happened before? So she thinks about that. Has this ever happened before? And then she is taken back because Periyalvar had fed her stories of Krishna all the time, right? That's what he fed as food to her. So she is transported to the place to the times of Krishna, where Krishna had performed the Rasa Krida with the gopis. He had done that. And then, so the gopis, they are very ecstatic at that point. They are full of joy. And then, just like how too much sorrow can break a person, too much joy can also break a person. So Krishna decides, okay, they have too much joy now. They are all in the height of their happiness. So at this point in time, I need to break that happiness just a little bit. So he disappears. So when he disappears, the gopikas, what they do is they they have to now sustain themselves because they were in this height of happiness, and Krishna has left now. How do they sustain themselves? They can't take that sorrow, right? So they start acting the pastimes of Krishna. So one gopika becomes the Kalinga. So they are enacting the Kalinga Nartana story. One gopika acts like she is the Kaliya, the wicked Kaliya, and then another gopika assumes like she's Krishna, and so she starts doing all of that. Okay, so this is called anukaram, or playing out. So now Andal decides to do the same anukaram. So that anukaram is what is all about the Margari Nomba. So why Nonba? So those days, apparently because Krishna was this mischievous person, right? He was this mischievous person. He liked only young girls. Why did he like only young girls? Because apparently when women get older, right, because they are so used to serving their husbands. I mean, please, let's I don't want to explain this anymore because the women are so used to serving their husbands. The older women, their seshatvam, that is their servitude, that may be towards their husbands and not towards the deity, where it should be situated. Whereas these young girls, right, they don't have, they're not in that stage yet. They have nothing left. They have no ego. They have no followers. They are not independent either. They don't think of themselves as being independent. They have their dependence on Krishna. That is why Krishna loves young girls. Now, if somebody comes and asks you, oh, what is your Krishna who's always after girls, who married these many people, and he does all of these things, you now have the answer. That is why Krishna loves young girls. Okay. So these young girls, because he was so mischievous, the older people of Vrindavan, of Aipadi Gokulam, they were like, oh no, this Krishna he's this mischievous guy. So let's just keep all these girls locked out. Okay. They used to place them in basements and like, let's not show them to Krishna. Okay. And then in one such period, there was drought. There was no rain. So because it was drought, now they had to get these girls to perform what is called the Katyayani Vratam. So this Katyayani Vratam will bring them rain. And so the crops will grow. So they need that. They are a cowherd community, right? So they need all of they need crops to grow, they need all of that. So who can do this known? So that Katyayani Vratam is what now Andal enacts. She does not do the vratam. So it's very, very important for us to know that Andal did not observe the vratam. She only enacted the act of the gopikas in observing the vratam. Okay. So in order to do this vratam itself, the gopikas needed a lot of things. They needed the drums, they needed other instruments, and all of that. And then when there is such a vratam, there is also a presiding deity for the vratam. Who is that? That is Krishna. So now the older people of Vrindavan, they said, okay, let's go and let's ask Krishna. Let's tell him that, oh, we need to observe this vratam, and the young girls need things to observe the vratam. So can you please help with all this? So now the older people, they go to Krishna and they ask about all this. So when they ask, at this point now Krishna is like, he wants to act tough. Like, oh, no, 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 no. It's like, this is what you will say. You will say, let the girls come and do this. And then you will say, I'm after them. You will put all of those parties on me. So I don't, let's not have any of this business. And then the people of Vrindavan say, no, 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 Krishna, please to forgive us. Please don't think of it like that. Okay, so you only have to help us. You are our, we surrender to you, right? You are the one that we know. So let's just do this. So then Krishna, he pretends to reluctantly agree. Of course, all of this is his character only, his doing only, right? And then the Gopikas observe the Vratam. So that act is what Andal enacts in the month of Margari and talks to us in Thiruppaavai. So this is just the context setting. Okay, so Thiruppaavai is 30 pasurams. In the 30 pasurams, the first 5 pasurams are more of an introduction where she talks about who is the upayam upayam, who should we be after? Narayanane namakke parai taruvan. He is the ultimate. And then she does Mangala Sasanam to the Ksheerabdinathan, and then to Trivikraman, Ongi Ulagalanda Uttaman Perpadi. So the first 5 pasarams are more of the introduction. Now, the next 10 pasurams are where she collects all of the gopikas and goes. So each of those 10 pasurams is representative for the Anjalaksham Kudi Bhagavata Gopikas that were in Aipadi. So for each one of them, she collects because she does not want anybody to get missed out. That is actually the purpose of her birth. Andal, she is an incarnation of Bhuma Devi herself. So an acharya called Manavala Mamunigal, Varavara Muni. So he says, Inno Thiruvadipuram, that is the day Andal was born. Inno Thiruvadipuram, Yamakkagavanno inga Andal avadarital. She took this birth for us. And where did she come from? Kundrada Varvana Vaikundavan Bogandana Igande Alvar Tirumagalarai. That is, she had everything in Vaikuntham, Sri Vaikuntham. She was there. But then she gave up all of that and she came here because she wants to take us to Krishna's lotus feet. That is the purpose of her birth. And that purpose of her birth is what she is enacting by taking all of these other gopikas, and which is mentioned in the pasrams 6 to 15, where she takes all of these Bhagavatas. And then now she's ready to go and approach Krishna's house. And when she's ready to go and approach Krishna's house, one should do any activity through Acharya Mukham only. So the 16th Pasuram is waking up the Acharya. Okay. And then Pasuram 17 is all the other celestials. Balarama, no. Okay, so she does that. And then 18, 19, 20 is for Tayar. So in Krishna Avataram, Napinnai is the consort of Krishna that we should all surrender to. We should surrender to her. So if you approach Narayana directly, right, because he is a swatantran, which means he is like, there is no controller for him. He may take us, or he may just look at our sins and say, you know what, I know you did that, so maybe go for another birth, or I'm going to give you this punishment instead. He may do that. But then Napina or Taya, right, she is there to mediate for us. So what she does is called the Purushakara Krityam, and she does the act of the mediating. So in the Varaha Avataram, the Tayar that does this is Bhuma Devi. And Andal is an incarnation of Bhuma Devi. In Sri Rama Avataram, the mediator is Sri Devi, Sita Devi. And in Krishna Avataram, the mediator is Neela Devi, who is Nappinai. So in Pasrams 18, 19, and 20, she takes the blessings, or she goes through the mediation of Nappinai Pirati. Okay. And then 21, 22, 23 is all about singing Krishna's glories. Now, in the 23rd Pasuram, which was yesterday's Pasuram, so they pray, Andal and her gathering, her friends, they pray and ask Krishna to come and sit in his Siriya Singhasanam, which is his throne. He does that. Okay. So now that he came, he has come with Napinai Pirati. He's done that, and then now they are ready. So Krishna has he has come, he has sat in the. Now, when he sits there, so what should happen? So they said they wanted something, right? They said, oh, I want that parai, I want those drums, I want that, I want this. So all of that she wanted. So she asked him to take a few steps, come and sit on the throne. He has done that also. So what is the next logical step that needs to happen? Ask all of those things, right? But that is not what she does. Instead, what does she do? Just ivvulagam aLanthaai poti. So she says, all of this pastram. I mean, lots of people, when you're just trying to learn Thiruppaavai, 24th pastram is the most his favorite pastram, easiest pastram, because you just have to do potri, 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 right? What does it potri, potri, potri mean, right? If you pick any kid, ask them what their favorite pastram is, they'll say 24th pastram because of this potri. What does potri mean? Potri means hail. Varga. In Tamil, we say varga. Varga, long live, long live. Which is, what is that long live? That is a blessing, right? That is a blessing which is Mangala Sasanam, which is that Asa Shittal of the Mangalam, which is blessing. Why does she do it? Because she is the daughter of Periyalvar. And what does Periyalvar do? Mangala Sasanam. Okay. So she does that Mangala Sasanam. And but then what does she do Mangala Sasanam for? She has come to see Krishna, right? She has come to see Krishna, so she should be doing Mangala Sasanam to Krishna. We are going to see in the course of this Pasuram that she will pick Krishna, but then that's not where she starts. Okay. She starts elsewhere. We'll talk about why she starts elsewhere. But before we do that, right, we are going to take a quick check on a little bit more about this Mangalasasana. Okay. And so have others done such Mangalasasana? Because it is very, very unheard of in our Sampradayam to do anything just by yourself. We always do. So one of the Shastra statements is to follow what the elders have done. Okay. So has anybody done Mangala Sasanam before? And where are some of those examples? We'll talk to that. Now Krishna came and sat. So the previous Pasuram says, Siriya Singasanathirundu Yam Vanda Karyam Araindu Arul. She said that. And who is Krishna? We have to talk about that also a little bit here. We have to talk about that a little bit here because Krishna is one, he is supreme, right? So that Gunam is called Paratvam. Okay. So there are CEOs, there are presidents, all of those people exist. They all have supremacy, right? That Gunam is Paratvam. But are they approachable? Can you even say hi to them? You cannot, right? But Krishna, he has, along with Paratvam, he has this quality called Saulabhyam. Saulabhyam means ease of access. And Krishna Avataram is full of this exhibition of Saulabhyam. That is what it is. Okay. Now, there are many instances of this Saulabhyam, but I'll pick one. I say I pick one, but it's not something that I pick. It's what the Acharyas have picked in the Vyakyanam. Okay. So we all know about Bhagavad Gita, right? So what was Krishna? He was the Sarathi. He was a Sarathi for Arjuna. What does Arjuna say? He says, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratham Sthapaya Me Achita. Right? He says, oh, go and park that chariot there in the middle of the two armies. So he does that. But Arjuna, was he an elevated soul like these Gopastris? No, he was not. So after listening to all of the Bhagavad Gita, what should have been the final slokam of Bhagavad Gita? Where Arjuna says, I'm surrendering, I don't want anything else, right? But that's not what happens. After that, he lives a very long life, right? He's not one of those prapannas, unlike the Gopas and the Sri Vaishnavas and everybody. So even for such Arjuna, Krishna does everything, right? But what do these Gopas trees want? These Gopas trees want just Krishna. So to him, if they ask for something, then he will immediately do it. Okay. So he comes and he sits in that throne. And when he does that, so they are doing the chamaram. They're doing the chamaram. So in that there's some amount of breeze, like fan happens, right? So a little bit of his dhoti that gets like that discloses his feet, his lotus feet. So when they see that feet, they're like, that's what these gopastris want. Like, oh my God, we've seen the feet, we've seen, okay, right? So they want to bow down, they want to touch the feet, put it on their head, they want to do all that. When they do all that, right, immediately what happens? So Krishna's feet, it is so soft that the moment the gopastris touch, it reddens. Okay, that's how so the word that is used for this is sukumaram. That is how sukumaram his feet are. Okay, he sees that. So the Gopas sees that, and then they are like, only until they saw him, they said, I want that, I want this, and all that. Now that he is in front of them, they forget all that. And then they do potri, 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 Mangalasasana. Okay. Just like how the example that our acharyas have given is of from Sri Ramayana. Okay. Thiruppaavai is all about Krishna's story. But when you look at the explanations, it's all Rama's story. Okay. So Dasharatha has decided the date for Rama's coronation. That has happened, right? Now the day is the next day. Okay. Now at that point, so all of this drama happens. So now he sends Sumantra to bring Rama. So Sumantra goes to bring Rama at that point. So Rama says, okay, I'll come. And then he takes a few steps towards the door. And then he turns back and then he garlands Sita. So that slokam is called Pati Sammanita Sita. Um, Pati Sammanita Sita Bhartaram Asitekshana Advaram Anuvavraja Mangalan Yabhitat Yushi. Okay, that is, what does she do? She says, after receiving Rama's garlands, she says that she's the one with the dark eyes because she's constantly looking at Rama. So she does Mangala Sasanam to Krishna. She walks up, to Rama. She walks up to the door front, and then she says, "Oh, let my husband be Rama be protected by the Digbalakas, by all the devatas." Now she is Sita, right? She is Sita. She's Sri Mahalakshmi herself, right? Does she not know about the supremacy of Rama? She knows who Rama is, right? Others may not know because Rama himself, he wants to be identified only as a Dasharatha Chakravarti's son. That's how he wants to be identified. He does not want to be identified as a supreme God. But Sita knows, right? Why does she do it? She does the Mangala Sasana because that is the glory of the Supreme Lord. And then similarly, okay, so now all this, so we know what happened after that. So he's been asked to go to the forest, and then he just goes to the forest at that point, right? When he goes to the forest, and then so it goes to all Chitrakutam, all of that happens, and then they go to this place called, what's the forest? Dandakaranyam, right? He goes to Dandakaranyam, and in Dandakaranyam, he sees a lot of rishis. All of those rishis, they have been tortured by Ravana. They're waiting for for Rama to come. So they want to show all their their bruises and the bruised skin, and they want to be saved, right? But then when Rama first goes there, that's not what they do. The first thing they do is Mangala Sasana, because it's only until we are not seeing him, we will say, please let me get that next promotion, please let me get that next car, please let me get that larger house, can I have that fridge, right? And all of that. But the moment we see him, right, we forget all of that, and then we can only do Mangala Sasana. That is not just for, these are all his devotees, right? These are all not just for them, these are even for the pratikulas. Anukulas are the ones that are there are the cooperators, right? So they are in the same mode. The pratikulas are the enemies, right? Even Shurpanaka, what does Shurpanaka say? She says, Tarunau Rupa Sampannau Sukumarau Mahabalau Pundarika Visalakshau Chira Krishna Jinambarau. Even she does Mangala Sasana. Let alone Shurpanaka. Tara, she does. So who killed her husband? Who's okay? Tara is Vali's wife. So who killed her husband? Ram. When Tara sees Rama, what does she do? She does Mangala Sasana. Not just Tara. So, what is the purpose of Rama Avatara? Ravana Marthan, right? He kills Ravana. When Mandodari sees Rama, she also does Mangala Sasana. That is his nature. Okay, that is the nature of Perumal. So that happens. So, like that, just like how the rishis of Dandakaranyam, Sita Devi, everybody engaged in Mangala Sasanam, now these Gopastris, under the leadership of Andal, also do the same thing. They engage in Mangala Sasana. Okay. Now they say, okay, we just used the parai as a means, right? So they needed some vyajam. Vyajam is an excuse. They needed that vyajam. But with all of that, now we've come to do your Mangala Sasana only. However, now let's connect back to in the fan, the dhoti slightly went away. They saw his feet, right? So what does that feet remind them immediately? And we need to connect that with what they did before. They said, please take a few steps. Serious Singasanathirindi Yam Vanda Karyam Arayam. They wanted to see his gati, right? So they asked him to come. Now he came and he sat in the asana. He sat. And then now they are seeing his Thiruvadi. And when they touched his Thiruvadi became red. We know that also. Immediately they were recollected of the time of Trivikramavatara, where what did Mahabali want? He wanted to take over. But then who was he doing? Who was he doing the the Trivikrama Avataram for? He was doing that for the sake of Mahabali, right? So now, because his feet now they feel, oh my God, he had to measure this whole world. He had to measure this entire world, and that was done because of this Indra who wanted something for his sake. Okay. And now we asked Krishna to come and sit on that asanam, and he had to take a few steps. He's so Sukumaram. And if we did that, then how are we different from him? That's the extent to which they go. Now they're like, I know, oh Krishna, you had to do this. There is no difference between that Indra who asked you to, who was after you for some prayojanam, which is for some material wealth, and us who wanted something for us. No difference. So, oh my God. So, okay. All glories to you. Mangalasasanam to you. Mangalasasanam to you. So that's why they do this poetry. Okay, so that is the essence of the 24th Pasanam, the Mangalasasana. Now let's start with the first line, which is anRu aLanthaai adi potri. Adi means his feet. Okay, so they are saying potri. Potri means varga, right? So anRu aLanthaai, which means that day you measured this world. So to your lotus feet, we do Mangalasasana. But why do they do Mangalasasanam now? They say anRu. anRu means that day. So the first line of this Pasuram is ivvulagam aLanthaai adi potri. சென்னங்கு தென்னிலங்கு செற்றாய்தல் போற்றி பொன்ற சகடமுதைத்தாய் புகழ் போற்றி கன்று குணிலாயறிந்தாய் கடல் போற்றி குன்று குடையா எடுத்தாய் குணம் போற்றி வென்று கையெடுக்கும் நின் கையில் வேல் போற்றி என்னென்னும் சேவகமே ஏத்தி பறை கொள்வான் இன்றியாம் வந்தோம். Okay, for them. Andru, that day you measured the world. Indriyam vandom. Today we came. But for them, there is no difference between that day. So when did Krishna Avataram, when is Andal doing all of this in Kali Yuga? Right? When did Krishna Avataram happen? In Dvapara Yugam. When did Trivikrama Avataram happen? In a different in Krita Yugam, right? So they are like, Andru ivvulagam aLanthaai, but Indriyam vandom. For them, no difference between all of this. Because they are all in constant anubhavam of Krishna. And then now they are thinking, oh, that day you measured this world, right? So was there anybody to do Mangalasasanam to you? There was nobody to do Mangalasasanam to you. So today we come, we offer this Mangalasasanam to you. And when this happened, on that day, what did people want? So there were some people who were like, oh, Mahabali, he was being sent, right, elsewhere. So he lost all his wealth. So he was he was in his own world as well. And what did Indra want? He wanted to reclaim his wealth back. Okay. This Mahabali's son, Namuchi. So what did Namuchi do? He came and said, oh, what? You are cheating. You asked for 3 feet of land when you were such small. And then now you grew. So this is not fair equation. Let's restart. That was what Namuchi said. So he started doing ordering. That's what Acharyas say. So Akkalatil. And that time, some people lost, like Mahabali. Then some were like, oh, they started ordering, demanding all of that. And some were, oh, give me my wealth. As long as I get my wealth back, that's all I want. That was Indra's position. But there was nobody who did Mangalasasanam to you. So that is why we come. Today we have come. We have come to do this Mangalasasanam to you. And what does her Andal's father Periyalvar say? Everybody knows Pallanda. At least most people know Pallanda here in this Goshti, right? Pallanda, Pallanda, Pallayirathande, Palakodi Nooraayiram, Mallanda Thindol Manivanna, Un Sevadi Sevi Thiruppaavai. So what does Periyalvar do? He also does Mangalasasanam to his lotus feet. Okay, that's how he starts. Sevadi Sevi Thiruppaavai. And she is Periyalvar's daughter. So she also does Mangalasasanam. Okay, it is all her Anju. So Andal is Anjukudi Korusandadi. She is the lineage of all the Alvars, of the clan of Alvars. So she does the Mangalasasanam. Okay. So now, so when this is done, right, what does she do next? So granted, so she knows now, we know why she's doing Mangalasasanam for Trivikramavataram. Okay. And then now she's thinking about it. Okay, after we are doing the Mangalasasanam for Trivikramavataram, but in Trivikramavataram, he is just there. So he grew, right? He grew from like wherever he was, he measured the entire world. Is that as hard as what he did after that, which is Rama Avataram? In Rama Avataram, the father ordered him to go to the forest and he walked. He walked through the length and breadth of the land for his Vanavasam. Senrangu Tennilangai Settai Tiral Poti. Okay. Oh my God. Nadanda Kalgal Nondavo. That is what Tirumalizai Piran says. And then Kulasekara Perumal, Kulasekara Alvar, he says, Yevvaru Nadandanai Emmi Ramavo. He laments, he takes a position, just like how Periyalvar assumes the bhavam of Yashoda, Kulasekara Perumal, he assumes in one of his his decades, he assumes the bhavam of Dasharatha, and he laments how he had to let Rama go to the forest. And as part of the lamentation, one of the Pasuram, he says, Yevvaru Nadandanai Emmi Rama. You are used to sleeping in that Panjane Mel Mundu Innai. So you were sleeping in that panjane. So we would have seen in the Kutubalakariya Pasuram also, a bed, it needs to have 5 qualities, the soft 5 qualities, right? So from there you lift all that, and then you walk through thorns and all of that, through Dandakaranyam, through all these forests, and so you have to go all that. And then, so isn't that even harder for your Trivadi? Sennangu Tennilangai Settai Tural Potri. But then, see, here's the thing. When he was doing the Trivikrama Avataram, right, it was Mahabali, and he had to just take, I mean, Mahabali had captured the entire world. So the word the Acharya uses Abhimanam. So they had done that. But here, he had done that for Krishna, for Indra. And then, whereas in the Rama Avataram, he had to go so far. He had to go so far, and then he had to vanquish Lanka. And what sort of a place was Lanka? So Mummadul Ilangai, that's what they say. Lanka, Ilangai is the Tamil word. Mummadul Ilangai means it had 3 forms of protection. One is from surrounded by ocean. And then even today people say, oh, have you been to Sri Lanka? It's such a beautiful place. That's what they say. I mean, I have not been to Sri Lanka, but I'm saying anybody who's gone to Sri Lanka, right? I mean, it's very popular to do Sri Lanka snorkeling and other like Sri Lankan tours. So Colombo is so beautiful. People say that, right? So it's filled with forests. Okay, that is the next level of protection that it had. And then Ravana himself, he had built such a strong city. The city itself is so hard to vanquish. So those are the 3 levels of Aran. Aran is like the fort. So it had 3 forts. Okay, so all of this. So such place, Rama had to go and vanquish. He had to go and defeat. So now, but here, what do they say? Sennangu Tennilangai Settai Tiral Potri. Okay. So Sennangu Tennilangai, so he went there. He went there. So in the previous Trivikrama Avataram, it was just rescuing the Abhimanam of Mahabali, rescuing Bhumi Pirati from there. Here he goes to the source itself. He goes to the source and he's like, kills Ravana. Okay, that's his valor. Sennangu Tennilangai Settai Tiral Potri. So now they are doing Mangala Sasanam to that valor, to that Tiral. So he's protecting, he's doing all, he's vanquishing, right? So when he's vanquishing, that's what we need. We need his protection, right? We need his protection. Now they are doing a protection for the protection. Because his gunam is his valor, right? That valor gunam is what is protecting us. But here, the Gopikas, Arnal, she's doing Sennangu Tennilangai Setrai Tiral Potri, his majesty, right? So that is so Acharyas have said this is like Aranukku Aran Iduvarai Pole. That is the one who's doing a protection for the protection. That's what they are doing here. Okay. Ilangai Paralaga Padaipurudanukku Pallandu Kurudume is what her father Periyalvar also says. And then next, what happens is, so when does Rama go and conquer Lanka? So he was 12 years old when he got married to Sita. Okay, so after that, Sita herself says that they were very happy in Dasharatha's palace for another 12 years. That's what they say. And then they live in the forest for another 12 years, right? So after all this is when he is going and battling Ravana. Okay, that's how he was. Then he also knows who the enemy is, Ravana. What happens after that? Sennanga Tennilangai Settai Tiral Potri, then Ponna Chagada Mudaitai Pugal Potri. So Chakatam is the Shakatasura. When does he vanquish Shakatasura? When he was a small baby. We don't even know how many days old he was. Yeah, just a few number of days. That's what he was. And then, so what do you do Mangala Sasanam for? So when he was 36 and he did the vanquishing of Lanka, or he was like probably just a few days old, and he does not even know who the enemy is. Because what did Shakatasura come as? He came as the wheel, right? So he had to come, and then he had to go and rescue. So Ponna Chagada Mudaittai Pugar Potri. Here you do not even know who that is, who your enemy is, and you're also such a small baby. So they say a lot of Arvas, right? Their outpouring of love and devotion towards Krishna, right? That is so extreme, more more than Rama. So they ask the question, why is that so? Oh, think of Rama and think of Krishna. Rama is the son of Dasharatha. What does the name Dasharatha mean? One who can run his chariot in 10 directions. We know 8 directions. Ninth and the 10th, which is up and down. That's what he can do. So his father is such a warrior. And where was he born? He's called Kakutsa, right? He is in the clan of the Kakutsa Rishi. He comes from this illustrious lineage. And he has like all those servants waiting for him, right? He had, so that is the illustrious Rama. Whereas, and have you ever heard of the pastimes of Rama when he was young? No, Arvas have shown us very. There's one charitram they have shown that is not, that you can't find in Sri Ramayana. That is because Perumal is the one who bestowed. Remember, we talked about who the Arvas are, and Arvas are the one who were handpicked by Narayana and given the blemishless knowledge, right? So he showed them. We'll talk about that charitram another day. Okay, but Krishna, he was born in the jail, and he had to be transported overnight from one place to another place to the cowherd community, where he had to keep escaping from one Rakshasi or Rakshasa after the other kept coming. And they came as the wind, they came as the wheel, they came as whatever, right? They came as donkey, horse, everything. All of that had to happen. So naturally, there is more parivu. So parivu, what is the English word for parivu? The compassion, the for Krishna. Okay. So similarly, now here, Ponna Chagada Mudaittai Pugar Potri. Okay. And then the next pasuram is, so and why the Mangala Sasanam for this stage? Because previously he was older, so he could still manage. Okay, but here he was so young, and that's why he had to go. And then he just kicked that wheel and gone. It's Vatsasura, right? So Shakatasura was gone. But then did that stop there? He did not stop there. He kept getting enemies after enemies. Even after he was growing up, he kept enemies after he kept getting those. So the next one is Kandra Kunila Erindai Kadal Potri. So the next Asura he's Vatsasura, who comes as the form of a little calf. So he comes as a little calf, and then there is another Asura who comes as the fruit, right? So what does Krishna do? He takes his calf and then he hits it on the fruit, and then so he vanquishes both of those Asuras at the same time. So here let's observe the Pasuram. Kannu Kunila Yerindai Kadal Potri. Okay. Kadal means Trivadi, feet. Okay. So Kandra means calf. Kandra Kunila, he used it as a weapon, and he hit Kandra Kunila Yerindai Kadal Potri. So what did Krishna use to kill both of those asuras? He used the calf, and then how did he use the calf to kill the fruit asura who came as the fruit? He took and then he flung, right? Then shouldn't have they said Karam, the hands, shouldn't have they done Mangala Sasanam for the hands? But here, Andal has sung Kandra Kunila Yerindai, Kadal Potri. It's not Kandra Kunila Yerindai, Karam Potri. Why is it Kadal Potri? Because of his mud. So he had the term that acharyas have used is Kunjitta Thiruvadigal, which means like he had folded. So he folded and then he did that, right? His matakinas, his folded legs. So it is that he used. So Kandra Kunila Yerindai, Kadal Potri. They did that. Okay, and then the next one is Kandra Kunila Kadal Potri, Kundra Kudaya Eduttai, Gunam Potri. So the first one, Mahabali, was a Pratikula. Next, Ravana was a Pratikula. And then Vatsasura, Pratikula. Right? That. Now they're talking about when they say Kunna Kudaya Eduttai, Gunam Potri, it is the Govardhana Giridhara, Govardhana Charitra. Okay. And who was the enemy here? Indra, right? And what is the first line of this Pasuram? ivvulagam aLanthaai adipotri, right? And who did he do all that Maha Trivikrama Avataram and all that for? Indra. So that same Indra who wanted Krishna's grace, right? When he was doing the Trivikrama Avataram, when he went, he had no shame going and begging him, saying, "Oh, please let me get my land back." Now goes against Krishna, right? Now goes against Krishna. But then what does Krishna do now? Does he kill Indra? No. Indra is just a position. Just like how we say, oh, let's call the VP of that company, right? Just like that, Indra is just a position. Okay. So the Indra's motive is not like the other Pratikulas. So our acharyas have the reasoning they have given is he was just hungry. Because every year the Gopas did this and the Utsavam, they used to do this offering, so it was okay. But this year Krishna said, "Oh, that's just a position." So it's like you should be offering to the Govardhanagiri, all that, right? So he's like he was hungry, so he was clouded. His memory was clouded. His jnanam, his knowledge was clouded. So now what Krishna does is he just wants to correct him. That's all he wants to do. He does not want to kill him because he's not in his heart of hearts. Indra is still a devotee. He's still subservient to Krishna. Okay, so that's why they do Mangala Sasanam now to Kunnu Kudaya Eduttai Gunam Potri. The Gunam is his attribute, his quality, right? Kunna Kudaya Eduttai Gunam. So because he is Anukulam, because he has done all of that, let him go. It's okay. It's okay for him. He'll learn. He'll just learn his lesson. So yeah, he's going to keep showering all of that rain until he is tired. So why did Krishna hold the Govardhanagiri only for 7 days? Was Krishna tired after that? Did he decide it was done? No, it was because Indra got tired after that. Indra couldn't do any more after that. Like, okay, he'll learn his lesson. Let him come. We'll teach him his lesson. Okay. So this gunam, the gunam that they are doing the poetry here now, that's called anRu Samshayam. anRu Samshayam means where he wants everybody to have goodness. That's what it is. The anRu Samshaya Gunam. Okay. Now Periyarvar says when he talks about this Govardhana Charitram, he says, கொடியேறு செந்தாமரை கைவிரல்கள் கோலம் அழிந்தில. He says, oh, Krishna is like, was Krishna tired? Was he grumpy or all of that when he was lifting the Govardhana? He was not, because nothing changed for him. His pleasant face was just like that, just like how it was all the time, right? So that's what Periyarvar does Mangala Sasanam for. But Andal, she cannot even go that far. But she is just thinking about, she's like just thinking of the Govardhana Charitram, right? She's like, oh, the Gunam, that's what it is. So because if Ta Ettadi Panja Kutti Payanaradi Payam, which means like the next generation is faster than the previous, right? Like that, Andal is like, she's not going that far. She's doing Mangala Sasanam to the Gunam. After this, Venna Pagai Kadakkum Nin Kayil Vel Potri. Okay, Vel Potri. So now she has done the Mangala Sasanam for all of his gunams, right? All of his gunam, Pugar Potri, Tiral Potri, Adi Potri, Kadal Potri, see, she's done all of that. Now she's doing Mangala Sasanam for Ninkayil Vel Potri. Vel means the spear that she has. Okay. Venre Pagaikadakkum Ninkayil Vel Potri. So just like how Rama, what is Rama's bow called? Kodandam, right? So his father also, I mean, he's from that clan, so he has bow. His brother Lakshmana has bow. His father had bow. All of his warriors also had bow. But Krishna is now born in what kulam? Yadukulam, right? Yadukulam, and he's the Nandagopan, right? And what does Nandagopan have in his hand? Kurvel Kodundorilan Nandagopan, right? So he has a spear. Like that, Krishna also has a spear in his hand all the time. So just looking at Krishna itself, you will want to do Mangalasasanam to him. That's how his beauty is. That's how his gunam is and all that. Now on top of that, if you add the veil, the spear also, then it's like you have to now, she wants to do the Mangalasasanam. Because for devotees, right? So the Shankha, Chakram, and all the comes, so you would have probably known of the Panchayata Sostram, right? He has Panchayatams and all of that. It's only for the Pratikulas, those are all weapons. For the devotees, for the Anukulas, those are all ornaments. They're all beauty. They add to his beauty. So like that. So the veil adds to his beauty. Okay. And then now they've all done all of these Mangala Sasanams, right? 5 times they've done Mangala Sasanam, the 6th one. So now they are like, oh my God, if I add another Mangala Sasanam, then he's going to get drishti. So that's why let me not add Mangala Sasanam to him. I'll redirect the Mangala Sasanam to the veil. Okay, so vennu pagai kedukkum nin kaiyil veil potri. And then ennennum un sevagame yeti parai kolvan. So sevagam means the veiler, the veera gunams, the gunam. So all the time we will do the Mangala Sasanam to your gunams, to your veeram. Ennennum sevagame yeti parai kolvan. Okay, so she says mun sevagame. So she's talking about Krishna. But then she was doing the Mangala Sasanam starting from Trivikrama Avtaram, Rama Avtaram, and all of that, right? Because for these exalted devotees, Gopas, those are all not a different avataram. Those are all just like how we say, oh, my son, oh, we talk to our son, you say, when you were 3 years old, you used to do that. When you were 5, you did that. We say that, right? These are all just his younger period. That's all it is for them. Enrennun sevagame ஏத்தி பறை கொள்வான் இன்னுயாம் வந்தோம். Today we came. So Indra is, so the day today is good because today is the day we have been blessed. So our mind is like a kurang, right? It's like a monkey. So we didn't come yesterday, we didn't come day before, right? We came today because it is him who bestows that anugraham. So that anugraham, that grace that has to happen. So that happened today. So we came. But how does the grace happen? It is because he needs to have mercy on us. என்னென்றும் சேவகமே ஏத்தி பறை கொள்வான் இன்றியாம் வந்தோம் இறங்கு. Irangu means what? Please open your eyes. Please grace us. Please give us, bestow us your anugraham. That's all that means. So she says, so we are not like the Ananya, we are not like the Prayojana entrepreneurs, which means we are not after other things. We are not like some of your other devotees who, if you bestow them grace, they'll be like, okay, they'll do glorification. If not, they'll be like, oh my God, he's troubling me so much. We are not like that. And we don't want anything else. We just want your grace. That's all we want. And why do we want your grace for? Not to do kainkariam to you. That's all we want. So such devotees we have come. So please give us your grace, because he is the near Siddhopayam, which means he is ready. He's there right then and there. So that is the meaning for ivvulagam. Now for the inner meanings of this pasuram. So when he says Ponna Chagadamudettai Pugar Potri, so it's like destroying the kama and the krodam, the anger, the kama lust and the anger. And then Kanna Kunila Yerindai, the lobam, which is the greed, removing that. And he is the Ashrita Rakshanan, which is he is the Rakshakan for the Ashritas, that is for the ones who have no other go. And so when they do that, they are doing the Pallanda, or they're doing the Mangala Sasanam for his Sheela Gunam. Sheela Gunam means the where you can Sheela Gunam is one where a very great personality engages or works or engages or mixes very freely with somebody very lowly also. That is his Sheela Gunam. So they are doing the Mangala Sasanam, Saushilyam, yeah, for the Sheela Gunam. So for us, the Purushartham is your grace, right? That's all we want. And Iranga. So that is our kripa, because it's your kripa which is the sadhana. There is nothing else that is the sadhana. So we have come. We've come because we should have actually waited for you to come. But it's because of our desperation. It's because of that we did not wait, that we came. So please grace us. So that is the essence of the Pasuram. அன்னிவ்வுலகம் அளந்தாயடி போற்றி சென்னங்குத்தன் நிலங்கு செத்தாய் திரள் போற்றி பொன்னச் சகடமுதைத்தாய் புகழ் போற்றி கண்ணு குணிலாய் எரிந்தாய் கடல் போற்றி குன்னு குடையாய் எடுத்தாய் குணம் போற்றி வென்று பகை எடுக்கும் நின் கையுள் வேல் போற்றி என்னும் சேவகமே ஏத்திப் பறை கொள்வான் இனியாம் வந்தோம் இறங்கேலோர் எம்பாவாய்.